W5FC. Net, second Monday at 7 p.m., W5FC. W5FC repeater PL110.9.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Shadows at does anybody need to use a repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? My name is Carolyn, and I'll be your assistant net control for this section of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. With priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break in your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net, so please do not transmit without direction from net control, and stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics: astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. You can go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. And please remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long and structured in several parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, or where and when you can look through a telescope. The discussion topic of the evening: what can you see in the sky tonight? Featured constellation or object or topic. Recent astronomical discoveries. Space exploration and space history. Visible satellite passes over the next couple of days. Astronomical questions and answers, and a 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. But let's start first with low power and short time check-ins. Please come with your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from this evening.
This is WD4MFI, Whiskey Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, Ted, Dallas, low power, short time.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz Mobile.
Pick these up, WB4MFI, Ted in Dallas, and welcome to the net and KFIJAK, Chaz. Good to hear you on. And do we have any other low power or short time check-ins?
KF 0 JD Mobile, Kilowatt Foxtrot 0 Juliet Delta Mobile.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony Portable in Dallas.
This is Whiskey 5 Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas, low power.
All right, we'll recognize the KF0JD. Well, welcome to the net. And could I please have your name and location, please?
Yeah, good evening. Call of Kilowatt Foxtrot 0 Juliet Delta, and the name is Jerry. Juliet Echo Romeo Romeo Yankee. And we're on, just coming up on I-35E. We're from up by Rochester, Minnesota, down here for a couple of weeks, and we'll be going back home here on Thursday morning. And I'm very impressed with this repeater and all the stuff that you guys do with it, all the different nets and everything, like Astronomy net. You know, that's something that it's not done up on the northern states anyway. That's why I guess your machine is surviving here. And 2 meters up there is really is sliding down the tubes there. So I don't want to time out the repeater, so I just wanted to check in and out here. So 73s all around. KF 0.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening, and we are available on Echolink if you ever want to check in from Minnesota. So anyway, welcome to the net. And NT5TM, Tony, we recognize you, and W5EBB, David in Dallas. All right, we'll move general check-ins. Again, please come with your call, name, and location, please.
Oh, Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Bravo 5, Juliet Delta Whiskey, John in Compton.
Kilo 5 Alpha November Papa, Allen in Dallas.
Is November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William and Allen.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Quebec X-Ray India, Glen and Rockwell.
All right, let me recognize these, and then we'll have some more check-ins. That recognizes KF5ZBL, Bill, K5JDW, John, K5PNP, Alan, N5WOI, William, KG5QXI, Glenn. Any other general check-ins?
Alpha Papa Lima, Patrick in Dallas.
Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie, X-ray, Tom, mobile.
KG5, was it 8 Alpha Papa Lima? Do I have the call right? Alright, and then we recognize KE5ICX Tom trying to get home. And alright, let's move on and take some Echolink check-ins, and again, you could please come with your name and location and your call sign, of course. But this is Echolink. Please come now and
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J near Weatherford.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy in Sherman.
This is Kilo Bravo 5, Romeo Hotel Echo, Brian in Fort Worth.
November 5, Yankee Echo Oscar, Stephen, San Antonio.
the net recognizes KG5BCWJ, KF5PDS Billy, KB5RAT Brian, N5YEO Stephen. Alright, let's have now a round of just check-ins by any means, General or Echolink, please come now.
This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, mobile.
Number 5, Bravo, Bravo, Bill.
The net recognizes WB5OZL Brenda and N5BB Bill. Alright, let's move on to general announcements, and we'll be taking further rounds of check-ins as we go. This is KC5OZT, and I'm going to reset. Does anyone have any general announcements for the net? These can be hams, astronomy, space, or just general interest to hams.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Number 5, Bravo, Bravo.
NT5TM, go ahead, Tony.
Thank you. All of my announcements from TechNet are available at W5FC.org. I'd like to remind all DARC members who haven't yet to please pay their dues. We do have a trailer workout bright and early tomorrow morning. That's a little scary. And we're looking for volunteers for the basically Wings of Freedom event at the Frontiers of Flight Museum at the end of this month. There's more details, but all of that at W5FC.org. And of course, just after this net at about 10:30 or 10:45 p.m., we do have the Afterglow Movie net. Tonight's movie is Metropolis, the classic science fiction film, the last great big film of the silent movie era, the last important silent film of Fritz Lang's. We're going to be talking about it right here tonight at 10:30, so I hope you can join us. This is NT5TM.
Thank you for that, Tony, and N5BB, Bill, goes your announcement.
Very good, Carolyn. This is N5BB. I have two progress reports, or reports on events which have ended. One of them was the Irving Ham Fest that Dallas Club members also assisted with, and this was last Saturday at the Irving. It was a success. Everybody had a lot of fun. We had a lot of people there. And Tom General won the first prize. I handed it to him. So that was great. The second thing is the second completed thing, which was today we did the field trip to NASA Johnson Spacecraft Center. Attending were myself, Brenda, WB50ZL, Tom, K5ICX, and Randy, K5JIT, and their friend Sandy, who's not a ham. We went down there, saw various things, and had a lot of fun, and saw the Apollo 11 capsule in 5BB. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Bill, and I know y'all had a great time. All right, we also have some more announcements. If you're interested in satellite work, the AMSAT group, that's Radio Amateur Satellite, has 2 nets available to Dallas residents. On Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m., you need Echolink installed and registered, but you can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. And they have a live audio video link available on their website at www.amsatnet.com. And this net originates in Houston, by the way. And then we have the Dallas area. We have the Dallas AMSAT net, rather the Dallas-Fort Worth area, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater at 147.14. PL tone 110.9 with a positive offset. Of course, we have the DARC nets. First and third week, ham fixins. The second week, MCOM 101, and that's the one coming up next Monday. And on the fourth Monday, we have the Geek net. And the first and third Wednesdays, we have the Veterans net. These are all at 7 p.m. following the daily NTS traffic net. That net is at 6:30 p.m. every day. And everybody's welcome to check in to any or all of these nets. And this is K50ZT. Do we have anybody wishing to check in before we move on?
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Hotel Max Sierra, Bill in Grand Prairie.
Carolyn, this is Kilo Bravo 5 Romeo Hotel Echo, Brian in Fort Worth, and I've got a Echolink check-in for you. Please copy Kilo Golf 5 Echo Zulu November, Charles, Chickasaw, Oklahoma. No microphone, checking in for the count.
Thank you for that relay, and the net recognizes KF5HMS Bill, and KB5RAT Brian, and KG5EZN Charles. Welcome to the net. Alright, this is KC5OZT, and let me get to the Afterglow information. Alright, tonight's Afterglow movie is going to be Metropolis, a silent movie from 1927. In the movie, it's the year 2026 in Metropolis. Superman is on vacation and Lois Lane is on assignment. John Fredersen, the city's master, shook his head and looked at the city machine safety record. 0 days since the last accident. A worker busily posted the new results and added 10 minutes since last accident. Go to work at your own risk. The 21st century seems a bit hazardous, and Fredersen decided to retire to his home and entertainment system for a little R&R. He commanded a robot named Siri, or Maria. Maria, show me all the best Art Deco nightclubs in Metropolis. There are 10 Art Deco nightclubs near your location. Yoshawala Club has half-price drinks tonight. Fredersen hopped in his flying car and headed out for a night on the town. And join us for the next Afterglow movie, this silent masterpiece, Metropolis, tonight at 10:30 p.m. And remember, you can go keep up with all the DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org. And, okay, moving on to the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. Do we have anybody that would like to give these announcements? Texas Astronomical Society, or TAS, monthly meetings are held on the fourth Friday of every month except December at the University of Texas at Dallas campus in Richardson. The meeting begins at 7:30 p.m. in the Science Learning Center building, or if you look at the campus map, it's SLC. Important, only parking lots H, I, or J. Parking anywhere else can result in a ticket. And you can get Google Maps and campus maps online. Meeting includes programs presented by members or guest speakers, slideshow of the current constellation of the month, and items for sale such as t-shirts, books, and observing aids, and so you can find out more about the TAS of Dallas at www.texasastro, all one word, texasastro.org. And they also host observing parties every Saturday night, beginning at sunset and concluding around 10 p.m. Each week is a different location for observing, so you can get the complete details for the Saturday night you wish to attend by going to their website and select calendar for complete details. And I'm not sure where the party was tonight, but anyway, visit their website and you can find out about this, the TAS and their activity. All right, we'll go ahead to have some more check-ins. Do we have anybody else wishing to check in? This is KC50ZT.
This is KF5PDS with information.
Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to report with regard to Texas Astronomical Society. Normally, the second Saturday of the month is the Frisco Star Party at Frisco Commons Park, but it was posted on the Facebook page earlier today that the Frisco Star Party had been canceled due to risk of poor weather. So just wanted to report that. There was no Star Party tonight. The next Saturday the first Saturday of the month is Spring Park in Garland. Second Saturday is Frisco Commons Park in Frisco. Third Saturday is J.W. Williams Park in Cedar Hill. And fourth Saturday of the month is the Shores Park in Rockwall. So those are normally the parties that meet every Saturday, weather permitting, of course. And, of course, as you mentioned, you can go to texasastro.org to the calendar and see all scheduled events. So that's the information I wanted to report. So this is KF5PDS. Back to you, Carolyn.
Thank you for that, Billy. And does anyone have any questions? All right. Are you ready for the discussion topic yet, or do you want me to go ahead and do the constellation first? E5ICX.
Yeah, go ahead and do the constellation. I'm just getting set up now. KE5ICX.
All right, save a little time. We'll look at our constellation first tonight. And tonight, I chose Lynx, which, of course, represents its namesake, the Lynx. It's not associated with any myths. It was actually introduced by the Polish astronomer Johann Hevelius in the 17th century to fill in a large gap between Auriga and Ursa Major. And he named it Lynx because it was pretty faint and it took the eyesight of a lynx to see it. Other than the Alpha Lynx, since there's no stars brighter than fourth magnitude, and Lynx is the 28th constellation in size. And going to some stars, the Alpha Lynxes is magnitude 3.13, it's about 203 light years away. To Class K, an orange giant that's moved to the past main sequence stage and exhausted the hydrogen at its core. This is the brightest star in Lynx and the only star in the constellation that has what's called a Bayer designation, which is a Greek letter in the name of the constellation. The other stars use Flamsteed numbers. And speaking of Flamsteed numbers, another star is 31 Lenses. It does have a name, Alcia Cat, or it's ALSCIAUKAT. Not sure how you pronounce it, but its magnitude 4.25, and it's the only star that has a proper name. It's similar to Alpha in radius and mass, about the same size and age, and it's also an orange giant, Class K. And 38 Lenses is the second brightest star in the constellation at magnitude 3.82. It's a Class A star, and in fact is a binary star composed of a close pair separated by only 2.6 arc seconds. The brighter component is a Class A hydrogen-fusing dwarf, and it has a 6th magnitude star, a Class A dwarf, for a companion. And the primary component of this pair is a rapid rotator. And believe it or not, it completes a rotation in less than 15 hours. And moving on to some of the deep sky objects, which Lynx, it actually has some good ones. First one is NGC 2419. It also goes by the name of Intergalactic Cramp, or Intergalactic Wanderer to be a little lighter. It's a globular cluster at magnitude 9. Very concentrated at the center, but it got its nickname because it was believed originally not to be in orbit around the Milky Way. This has been proven false, though, since then. It takes about 3 billion years to complete an orbit around our galaxy to one of the most remote globular clusters, both from the galactic center and from the Sun. It's almost twice as distant as the large Magellanic Cloud. The cluster was discovered by William Herschel and was actually originally believed to be a star, but later discovered to be a globular cluster. Then we come to NGC 2683. So this goes by the name the UFO Galaxy. It's an unball galaxy, magnitude 10.6. It appears nearly edge-on when observed from Earth. The Astronaut Memorial Planetarium and Observatory site gave it the nickname the UFO Galaxy. We have another one, NGC 2537. It's a compact blue dwarf galaxy, which means it's a small galaxy containing large clusters of hot young stars, which make it appear blue in color. At magnitude 12.3, and it goes by the name the Bear's Paw Galaxy. And it does sort of resemble a bear's paw. Our next object is NGC 2770, a nice spiral galaxy at magnitude 12. It's been nicknamed the Supernova Factory because 3 supernova events have been observed in the recent years. In 1999, 2007, and 2008. And the last one, 2008, is notable for being the first supernova to first be detected by the X-rays emitted early in its formation and not by the light emitted later. And this is the first time that it has happened. It's possible that this NGC 2770's interactions with the suspected companion galaxy may have created the massive stars causing all this activity. So that's one worth keeping an eye on if you have a big enough scope. And our last object is NGC 2541, an unbarred spiral galaxy. Its magnitude 12.3. And it belongs to a group called the NGC 2841 group. That's a group of galaxies located in Lynx and Ursa Major. And that group also includes the Bear's Paw that we mentioned earlier. So Lynx might be faint, but if you have a good scope, and it's definitely worth taking a look at it, and you'll find some favorite objects. So take a look at it. You'll like that one. Let me reset KH50ZT. Hey, I see Tom is at home now. Tom, do you want to take it to KH50ZT?
Yeah, I think I'm ready, Miss Carolyn. Thanks so much for taking the net for this evening. Can you give me a count of check-ins, please?
Roger, we've had 22 so far. KH50ZT.
All right, thanks so much. And this is KE5ICX, and I'm the scheduled net control for this evening, but came back from Houston and the Johnson Space Center and just got in the door here. So thanks to Miss Carolyn, KC50ZT, for taking the net and doing the check-ins for me. I do appreciate it very, very much. I'll go ahead and ask if there are additional check-ins now. If you'd like to join us this evening, we'll go ahead and put you on the list. Over air, please. If you would like to check in, please come now.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Oscar Quebec Kilo, Dave in Garland.
All right, very good. We've got KG50QK, Dave in Garland. Welcome, Dave. Okay, so our discussion topic of the evening actually was kind of creating itself today. This is my net control night, which is the second Saturday, and we happen to pick the field trip day to go down to the Johnson Space Center. So I wrote something up on the way home here, and I was hoping to get some pictures posted. There are a few over on Facebook on the DARC Skynet page. You can look at a few of them, but there's more yet to upload. But anyway, here we go. Our visit to Johnson Space Center in Houston was to visit the Apollo 11 command module. It was both fun and informative. Space Center Houston is a commercial venture with NASA providing the public with an interactive experience via a number of interactive exhibit. So a lot of stuff for kids there. It's kind of cool. We had in our group, and folks that actually went down, we actually had 3 different groups that went down. We had Brenda, WD50ZL, Randy, KE5JIT, Mr. Bill, N5BB, Thomas, KF5QOR, and some of you don't know it, but we did run into Thomas and his son Lawrence. We had Sandy from Denton and myself. So we had a number of folks that actually made it down there in 3 different vehicles. So what this was is the Apollo 11 command module is currently on tour. It's the first time it's been on a tour since it returned to Earth back in 1969. It spent the year in 1970 going around the country. So it is on display in Dallas currently. It leaves this month and heads to Seattle at the Boeing Museum up in Seattle, Washington. So we had to get there. We had to get there quickly. But wait, there's more. The Destination Moon exhibit, as it is called, includes 20 one-of-a-kind exhibits on some of them having to do with heat shielding. They showed a very good in-detail look at heat shielding, the ablative heat shield that was used on the Apollo 11 command module, spacesuit pieces, genuine moon rock, and factoids involving the first manned landing on the moon. Now that's not all. What's also interesting is in the same building, housed in the same building, is a permanent exhibit of the Apollo 17 command module. So you have an early, relatively early Apollo 11 and then the Apollo 17 command module, both on display for the first time ever in the same building. The Apollo 11 had been somewhat refurbished. It had been inside of a Lexan or plexiglass enclosure at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. for a very long time, and it kind of made it rather off-putting. You really couldn't examine it that well. There was a lot of glare on it. I remember this from years ago when I went to visit it at NASA in Washington. It did not have the impact that it did in this display. What was really great about this is all that's removed. You can look at it. They didn't light the inside. I wish they had, so you can see the inside of the spacecraft. But the outside looks very good. They do have pictures, photographs of the inside as it looked when they put cameras inside of it to inspect it. It's been the first time it's been inspected in 50 years, in almost 50 years. So they found some interesting graffiti inside by Michael Collins, who is the command module pilot. He put a little calendar that he had made out of a pen or a pencil, counting out the days until they returned home. So I'm not sure. I think it's only there for a couple of more weeks. So if you want to see it, you'll have to get down there. It's a 4-hour trip down, folks. Sorry. And it's 4 hours back. For a total of 8 hours. And we were there about 4.5 hours, or about half hour longer than expected. But do go see it if you can. If not, buy a ticket and go to Seattle. They have quite a museum there. But that wasn't all. We had an opportunity, a few of us, to see astronaut Jerry Ross. Jerry Ross is one of the mission specialists. He's a spacewalker. I believe he's retired now, but he highlighted his STS Flight 110, STS-110 mission, where he performed his 5th spacewalk of his career. He talked about the purpose of that mission, which was the assembly of the space station, the International Space Station. Their job was to install what's called the S0 truss segment to the International Space Station. This is a kind of a moving rail car that has the arm on it that helps with the assembly of the station. It was necessary to do this with some of the other modules and can be used for repair and for maintenance of the station. It's sort of like a crane in space. He also mentioned that the shuttle also delivered a mobile transporter, which is an assembly that glides down. Oh, that's the other part. The mobile transporter is on the truss section, glides down the station on integrated trusses. The MT was designed and manufactured by Astro Aerospace in Cupertino, California. During the next shuttle mission 111, the mobile base structure system was mounted to the MT, and the mobile servicing structure allowed Canadian Arm 2 to travel down the length of the installed truss structure. Also, there's more. We managed to get into the Zero-G diner. Now, I had to look this up online because I was on the lookout for the Star Trek Original Series shuttlecraft prop, the full-size one you saw in the series, best known for the episode Galileo 7, named after the shuttlecraft itself. Here's a little bit about it. Superfan Adam Schneider bought the decaying artifact in June of 2012 for $61,000 and went about the complete restoration. Schneider then donated it to Space Center Houston in 2016. He worked with Star Trek blogger Alec Peters, Schneider, and team Master Shipwrights in New Jersey used photos and tips from fans of the show to how to restore the shuttlecraft to its original appearance. The repairs, which took 9 months under the guidance of craftsman and on somebody, were completed in June when the Galileo was trucked from Garden State to the Lone Star State for public display. And he says here, if you had told us a year and a month ago that we would have been able to obtain this thing and we would be able to feature on how to fix it and we'd be able to donate it to the Space Center Houston, the home of America's manned space program, I just would have said that's just fabulous, as Schneider said. So it's in a spot. It's not really have a permanent home yet. It is in the Space Center exhibit area, but it must be, it'll eventually be moved elsewhere. So it's in the Zero-G Cafe. If you don't go in there, it's tucked away. It's big. It's the size of a car, a large car. Well, let's say a truck. You need to go inside the place and you'll see it off in the corner. It's not hard to miss. Now, with spring break, there was an opportunity to go to the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, or NBL. It's an astronaut training facility. It's operated by NASA and located at the Sonny Carter Training Facility near the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Now, this is across town. Well, not quite across town, but it's several miles away from where we were. They put us on a full-fledged bus and bussed us over there. The NBL's main feature is a large indoor pool of water in which astronauts may perform simulated EVA tasks in preparation for upcoming missions. Trainees wear suits designed to provide neutral buoyancy to stimulate microgravity that astronauts would experience during space flight. The diving tank is 202 feet in length, 102 feet wide, and 40 feet, 6 inches deep. It contains, are you ready for this? 6.2 million gallons of water. The NBL contains the full-scale mock-ups of the International Space Station, modules, and payloads, as well as visiting vehicles as the JAXA, or Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, HTV. That's their shuttle vehicle that provides supplies to the station. It also has the European Space Agency ATV, another vehicle that docks supplies at the station, the SpaceX Dragon, and the Orbital Sciences Corporation Cygnus, a full-scale mock-ups of the equipment such as the Space Shuttle payload bay and some Hubble Space Telescopes have been removed, but as they are no longer needed for training. Now, this this is kind of interesting. This is some of the information I gleaned from the web on the way home. So the disadvantage of neutral buoyancy diving as a simulation of microgravity is the significant amount of drag created by the water. This makes it difficult to set an object in motion and difficult to keep it in motion. Also, it makes it easier to keep an object stationary. This effect is the opposite of what's experienced in space, where it is easy to set an object in motion, but very difficult to keep it still. Generally, drag effects are minimized by doing tasks slowly in the water. Another downside to neutral buoyancy simulation is that astronauts are not weightless within their suits, meaning as divers tilt their heads, they are pressed against whatever inside surface is facing down. This can be uncomfortable in certain orientations, such as heads down, thus precise suit sizing is critical. So I'll go ahead and pause at this point. I know Bill N5BB had a few comments. Does anyone who went on this trip or has been to Space Center Houston or Johnson Space Center have anything they'd like to tell us? Please come out.
BB?
N5BB. Bill, go ahead.
Hey, Tom. I just got home and I was just transitioning into the house here from the mobile radio. And so I don't know if you mentioned this, but there in the front, when you pull into the space station, the Space Center Houston visitor area, there is a 747 parked in front with a space shuttle on top of it. And although we did not have time to visit it today, you can go up an elevator and go into those and see them, I believe. So that's really pretty amazing to see the 747 with the space shuttle in front of you, on top of it. For those of you who don't remember this, the way they moved the space shuttle from one place to another on the Earth was by putting it on top of a 747, specially modified, and flying it somewhere. Back in about 1979, maybe, or 80, a company I worked for was doing some work for Westinghouse, which is now Tico Westinghouse, in Round Rock, Texas, which is right north of Austin. And they were building some huge fans. They were building some motors that were like 18 feet in diameter with humongous ratings. They weren't very thick, but they were 18 feet in diameter. They were building 3 of these motors, and these 3 motors were going to power 3 fans that were going to have a wind tunnel that was going to send like 550 mile per hour wind over the space shuttle on top of a 747 before they flew it for the first time. So I found that very interesting. I only personally saw that set up in real life one time, and that's where they flew that arrangement through Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin and landed it there one time. And I was able to see it in the middle of the night. All I got in 5BB.
This is WB. Hello, is that Al?
Brenda, we're glad you're there. You were there. Tell us about it. KE5ICS.
Well, it was absolutely wonderful, of course. But I do have a correction to your report. It is not going to Seattle next. It is going to St. Louis. It'll be there April 14th through September 3rd. And then after that, it goes to Pittsburgh, September 29th through February 18th. After that, it goes to the Museum of Flight in Seattle, March 16th, 2019 through September 2nd, 2019. So it will be in Seattle for the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing. So you didn't get your facts wrong, just your dates. I suggest you recalibrate your time machine. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Miss Brenda. If anybody could help me with correcting my schedule, it is WB50ZL. You are always making sure that I am on time and accurate in my reporting. So keep it up. So let's see. Bill did mention, and it's very true, the 747 that's out there, called the SCA or Shuttle Carrier Aircraft. It has a tail number of NASA or NA905 on it. I've seen this plane before. I saw it out at Moffett Field out in California in San Francisco when I was working out there. It was parked right next to the huge blimp hangar. Just waiting. I think they were. I think that's where it was staged when there was some of the flights were coming into Edwards Air Force Base, where they were returning to Earth. It is an old American Airlines 747-100. It probably did land as an American Airlines plane here at DSW many times. It has landed as an SCA aircraft in the shuttle configuration. I guess it would be at least twice. I believe it's twice it's landed here in Dallas, maybe more, but I seem to remember twice. They do not announce where well, not anymore, but they would never announce exactly where the plane was going or where it was landing, because one of the most important things was the shuttle itself is exposed. It's outside. They don't want to fly it through weather. They don't want to fly it through rain. So sometimes when spacecraft were landed out at Edwards, they would take a very circuitous route throughout the United States to get it back to Florida. So you never know. But it was a fun trip. We had a lot of interesting things. We couldn't see everything. It's just impossible. Maybe one of these days they'll get in, see the inside of the SE. Oh, I was going to mention one thing about the SCA. The first class section's still in there. The rest of the plane has been completely stripped out. Now, our one of the people on duty there, one of the folks that was taking care of the folks and getting them on the buses, said that they had turned it into an exhibit area. So there's a whole history of SCA inside of the aircraft now too. So there's actual exhibits. Anyway, we'll move on. If you get a chance, go see it wherever it may be, the Apollo 11, and go see Space Center Houston if you can. There is a big tour you can take. It's, I think, $139 or something. Sounds pricey, but they give you lunch, and they take you to all the back areas, the limited access areas, including neutral buoyancy, which was open for us because of spring break. It's not normally available. So that was pretty cool. That's what we jumped on. All right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program, I guess. Let's see. We have not covered... let me talk about this then. Earth Sky. We have from earthsky.org /tonight. This is what they talk about this evening, or what has happened. Before sunrise, the moon has been sweeping past 3 planets in the pre-dawn sky. There's a chart or a link. Southeast to south before dawn, it says, if you're looking at the website. The moon passed Jupiter on March 7th. It's now heading for Mars and Saturn. Jupiter, the brilliant and star-like object close to the moon on the morning of March 7th, was Jupiter, and this planet is still near the moon on March 9th. Jupiter is the 5th planet outward from the sun, and it's the second brightest celestial object on the moon to light up the morning sky. Venus is a brighter planet than Jupiter, but Venus is now in the early evening sky and will remain in the evening star until October 2018. Jupiter, meanwhile, comes up around midnight in early March 2018, and it shines high in the sky at dawn. Jupiter is bright for good reason. It's the most massive planet in the solar system with a very reflective cloud layer. It is the mass of 318 Earths. The king planet Jupiter has more than twice the mass of all the other solar system planets, dwarf planets, moons, and other minor planets, such as asteroids, combined. Jupiter has a volume of over 1,300 Earths, yet Jupiter is only about 1/1000th the mass and size of the Sun! Exclamation point. On March 9, 2018, Jupiter is stationary in front of the constellation Libra the Scales, signaling the beginning of its retrograde motion in front of the stars. Normally, planets move eastward in the front of the backdrop stars, but as Earth prepares to pass between an outer planet like Jupiter and the Sun, we see the planets change direction and begin moving towards the west. We'll go between Jupiter and the Sun on May 9, 2019. Then astronomers will say that Jupiter is in opposition to the Sun. In May, Jupiter will be rising in the east as the Sun is setting in the west. Opposition marks the middle of the best time of the year you can see the planet. The beginning of Jupiter's retrograde motion on March 9th marks the beginning of this special time, Mars and Saturn. Let's see. Looks like something got messed up there. That's okay. Although Mars and Saturn are nowhere as bright as Jupiter, they still shine as brilliantly as the first magnitude stars. You can locate them in any morning before dawn now, but look for them particularly around March 9th, 10th, and 11th, when the moon is sleeping past. Let's see here. Boy, they got a lot of stuff in here. 2018 will be a banner year for Mars. Most of the time, Jupiter ranks as the fourth brightest celestial body to light up the heavens after the Sun, the Moon, and Venus. But this year, Mars will outshine Jupiter, claiming the title of the fourth brightest celestial body for roughly 2 months, from early July to early September 2018. Why? You guessed it if you've been listening. Earth will be passing between Mars and the Sun around then. You can discern Saturn from Mars by color. Saturn appears golden, while Mars flowers red. If you have any difficulty distinguishing color with the eye, try looking at these colorful celestial gems with binoculars. Or if you have a telescope, you can easily tell which is Saturn because of this planet's majestic rings, which are quite visible in even the modest backyard telescope. Let's see, southeast before dawn is the next picture. For the fun of it, we show the dwarf planet Pluto on the sky chart. You don't see Pluto. This faint and distant world is more than 2,000 times dimmer than the faintest star visible to the unaided eye on a dark night. That's some 300,000 times fainter than Saturn. Saturn is the most distant world you can easily see with the unaided eye, at a distance of about 10 astronomical units, or 10 times the Earth's distance from the Sun. Pluto lies over 3 times the distance of Saturn at 34 AU. Because Mars is closer to the Sun and Earth than Saturn and Pluto are, Mars travels at much faster clip through the constellation of the zodiac than either Saturn or Pluto. Traveling in an eastward direction towards sunrise, Mars will catch up with Saturn on April 2nd, and then will catch up with Pluto on April 25th. Earth will catch up with Saturn, bringing Saturn to its 2018 opposition in our sky on June 27th. So, after that lengthy discussion, the bottom line is this. 3 bright superior planets, that is, those bright orbiting the Sun outward from Earth's planet orbit, can be found between midnight and dawn now. The Moon sweeps past Jupiter, then Mars, then Saturn, on the mornings of the 7th to the 11th of 2018. All right. Let me go ahead and give you the U.S. Naval Observatory and what they say you can see in the sky this week. Some of these things have already happened. And we'll move over to Miss Brenda and her report. So this is what we have. From the U.S. Naval Observatory, they say the following. The moon wanes in the morning sky this week, during southward along the ecliptic as she greets the rising summer constellation. The last quarter occurs on the 9th at 6:20 Eastern Standard. She passes the 3 bright planets, Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn, in the pre-dawn skies. You'll find her perched just north of Jupiter on the morning of the 7th. Look for Luna in the northeast, fronting Mars, before dawn on the 10th. On the following morning, she'll be northeast of yellow-hued Saturn. And this is KE5ICX with Skynet. You'll probably notice the rapidly lengthening days recently. At this time of the year, the Sun is making its most rapid northward progress along the ecliptic. Each passing day now averages about 3 minutes longer than its predecessor. You'll get a big boost in sunset times this week thanks to the energy policy of 2005. We set our clocks forward by 1 hour at 2 a.m. local time tomorrow, putting us at daylight time until November 4th. Love it or hate it, this annual ritual has been around in one form or another since, are you ready, World War I, although the original concept of it dates to the second half of the 19th century. First application was in Germany in 1916 as a means of allowing factory workers to take advantage of natural light and save on coal-fired electric light. England and the Allies soon followed, as did America in 1918, when Congress passed the Standard Time Act. An interesting lobbying group pushed the concept of daylight time in those days. Food was a scarce source in major urban areas due to rationing, so people resorted to planting fixed-tree gardens. Daylight time allowed workers to tend to their plots after their factory shifts were finished. A poster celebrating the passage of the act shows a happy Uncle Sam exhorting people to get your hoe ready. Unfortunately, the change was not widely accepted, and the federal daylight time mandate was repealed in 1919. It became a matter of local enforcement except for the years of 1942 through 45, and daylight time wasn't specified in the U.S. Code until 1966. Unless you live in Arizona or Hawaii, you're obliged to observe it until the first Sunday in November. The end of the evening twilight finds the sky's brightest star, Sirius, crossing the meridian. Most of the rest of the bright winter constellations are now in the western part of the sky, leaving you with only a few hours to enjoy Orion and its colorful companions. The bright stars of the great winter circle are giving way to the more subdued constellations of the spring. By 10 p.m., Orion is sinking in the west, while the bright star Regulus lends the constellation Leo, leads constellation Leo climbing in the east. High in the northeast, you should be able to pick out the 7-second magnitude stars of the Big Dipper asterism, part of the much larger constellation of Ursa Major, the Great Bear. If you follow the arc of the three stars that make up the Dipper's handle, you'll find the brightest star of the northern hemisphere of the sky. You guessed it, the topaz-hued Arcturus. Venus and Mercury are putting on a fine show in the west, and evening twilight begins to fade. You should be able to pick out Venus out of the bright sky about half an hour after sunset. She starts the week about 5 degrees above the horizon at this time. Once you find her, look above and to the right of the dazzling planet for Mercury. The two objects will climb a bit higher on each successive evening. It should be easy to spot with the naked eye about 40 minutes after sundown. This will be Mercury's best evening showing of the year, so take advantage of his proximity to Venus to track him down. The other three naked eyes are still best seen in the morning sky. Get up an hour before sunrise to see Jupiter, the brightest of the planet in the sky after Venus. Jupiter reaches its stationary point on the 9th and will gradually begin retrograde motion westward against the stars over the next few weeks. Mars follows Jupiter and can be found between the bright star Arcturus and the planet Saturn. The red planet is closing the gap with Saturn and will pass the ring planet toward the end of the month. All right, there you have it. Those are the two reports back to back this evening. So I'll go ahead and pause and take additional check-ins before we move on to our, let's see, Miss Brenda and her recent astronomy discoveries. Anyone else like to join us this evening? I do not have Echolink open, so if somebody would relay for me, I appreciate that. Anyone over here, please come out. All right, WB5OZL, she signals she's ready. Would you please give your report on recent astronomical discoveries?
Yes, sir.
first article is entitled Hubble Finds Huge System of Dusty Material Enveloping the Young Star HR 4796A. Astronomers have used NASA's Hubble Space Telescope to uncover a vast, complex dust structure about 150 billion miles across, enveloping the young star HR 4796A. A bright, narrow inner ring of dust has already known to encircle the star and may have been corralled by the gravitational pull of an unseen giant planet. This newly discovered huge structure around the system may have implications for what this yet unseen planetary system looks like around the 8-million-year-old star, which is in its formative years of planet construction. The debris field of very fine dust was very likely created from collisions among developing infant planets near the star, evidenced by a bright ring of dusty debris seen 7 billion times from the star. Pressure of starlight from the star, which is 23 times more luminous than the sun, then expel the dust far into space. But the dynamics don't stop there. The puffy outer dust structure is like a donut-shaped inner tube that got hit by a truck. It is much more extended in one direction than in the other, and so looks squashed on one side even after accounting for its inclined projection on the sky. This may be due to the motion of the host star plowing through the interstellar medium, like the bow wave from a boat crossing a lake. Or it may be influenced by a tidal tug from the star's red dwarf binary companion, that's HR 4796b, located at least 54 billion miles from the primary star. The dust distribution is a telltale sign of how dynamically interactive the inner system containing the ring is, said Glenn Schneider of the University of Arizona, Tucson, who used Hubble Space Telescope imaging spectrograph to solve and map the dust particles in the outer reaches of the HR 4796A system, a survey that only Hubble's sensitivity can accomplish. I think I'll quit there on that one. That's about all that is interesting in that article. The next article is 70-year-old mystery of how magnetic waves heat the sun cracked. Scientists at Queen's University Belfast have led an international team to the groundbreaking discovery that magnetic waves crashing through the sun may be key to heating its atmosphere and propelling the solar wind. The sun is the source of energy that sustains all life on Earth, but much remains unknown about it. However, a group of researchers at Queen's have now unlocked some mysteries in a research paper which has been published in Nature Physics. In 1942, Swedish physicist and engineer Hans Alfvén predicted the existence of a new type of wave due to magnetism acting on a plasma, which led him to obtain the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1970. Since his prediction, Alfvén waves have been associated with a variety of sources, including nuclear reactors, the gas cloud that envelops comets, laboratory experiments, medical MRI imaging, and in the atmosphere of our nearest star, the sun. Scientists have suggested for many years that these waves may play an important role in maintaining the sun's extremely high temperatures, but until now had not been able to prove it. Dr. David Jess from the School of Mathematics and Physics at Queen's University Belfast explains, for a long time, scientists across the globe have predicted that Alfvén waves travel upwards from the solar surface to break in the higher layers, releasing enormous amounts of energy in the form of heat. Over the last decade, scientists have been able to prove that the waves exist, but until now, there's no direct evidence that they had the capability to convert their movement into heat. At Queens, we have now led a team to detect and pinpoint the heat produced by alpha waves in a sunspot. This area was predicted some 75 years ago, but we now have the proof for the very first time. Our research opens up a new window to understanding how this phenomenon could potentially work in other areas such as energy reactors and medical devices. The international team, I won't name all those people. The study used advanced high-resolution observations from the Dunn Solar Telescope in New Mexico alongside complementary observations from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory to analyze the strongest magnetic fields that appear in sunspots. These sunspots have intense fields similar to modern MRI machines in hospitals and are much bigger than our own planet. That's about the gist of it. I'm going to turn this back to the net. This is WB5OZL.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Brenda, for those two reports. Both very interesting. There are links over on our website, w5fc.org. I highly recommend it. I know most people just listen in, but I think you'll find the Hubble finds huge system of dusty material. That article is fascinating. When you see that picture, you're going to be astounded. So it's definitely worth your time to go and take a look at that. This is KE5ICX net control, co-net control this evening. Let's see here. We do not have Miss Kelly. She is down in Florida. In fact, she was within spitting distance of Kennedy Space Center today, and we were doing dueling pictures. So us at Johnson and her over at Kennedy. Although I think she is doing a wildlife thing and not doing a space thing. Shame on her. Although we like wildlife, we like space stuff better. I do. All right, let's see here. I do not have a lot this evening for Heaven's Dash Above as far as satellite passes. Virtually all of them are terrible. There was one that was interesting, and I'm going to just talk about it. These others really are not even worth discussing. I put them in, and they're most of them. The ISS is not available. Tiangong 1 and 2 are not available. Some of the Korean satellite is not really all that great. But there was one that popped up on the list that I had not seen before. It's called Humanity Star. Now, you've probably heard about it, but you didn't know what it was named. So here's a little thing on it. Humanity Star is visible with the naked eye. Humanity Star is a highly reflective satellite that blinks brightly across the night sky to create, are you ready for this, a shared experience for everyone on the planet. Probably not at the same time, because you can only see it directly overhead. Created by Rocket Lab, the founder and CEO, Peter Beck, the Humanity Star is a geodesic sphere made from carbon fiber with 76 highly reflective panels. It spins rapidly, reflecting the sun's rays back to Earth, creating a flashing light that can be seen against a backdrop of stars. Orbiting the Earth every 90 minutes and visible from anywhere on the globe, the Humanity is designed to be a bright symbol and reminder to all the people on Earth about our fragile place in the universe. So this is the first time I had seen it on Heavens Above. It wasn't there last week. So if you want to see this, it has magnitudes varying between 4.3 as the brightest to as low as 7.7 magnitude. There are two passes, one this evening. Well, there was a pass this evening at 6:33. The next reasonably good path. Looks like it will be March 18th at a 5.4 magnitude at 5:37 a.m. It'll reach its highest point of 56 degrees at 5:40, and it'll fall at 5:43 out of the south-southeast. So that's about the only one in there. I was going to post a picture, but I ran out of time today to do all that stuff, so we got kind of a bare-bones Skynet this evening as far as all the videos and all that stuff. So maybe I will post them on the Facebook page and the links and all that. Maybe you can go look at that stuff there. All right, let's see. We do not have any announcements. We can do an astronomical Q&A. Does anyone have any questions this evening? We've got our best and brightest right here. Well, we've got who we have right here. And we'll answer your questions either with something that's true, something that's boring, or something that's exciting but not true. Does anyone have any questions? Please come out. Does anyone have any comments about what we presented this evening, or anything that you would like to talk about? We'll do the 73 round, which we never get to. Anything you would like to bring to the net that you think would be interesting, or something you've wondered about, or maybe something you recently discovered? Please come now. Anyone over on Echolink who's dying to say something, please come out. All right, well then we'll just close it out a little early this evening. Tonight we had 23 hands who participating on the air, including myself. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. Special thanks to KC5OZT for Miss Carolyn for helping us out this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net, astronomy in general, on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. So at this time, until next Saturday night, this is KE5ICX, Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:22 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. We'll begin the afterglow right at 10:30, so you get about 8 minutes to get ready for that net. The movie is Metropolis. Now, whether you saw it or not, it's nice if you did see it. If you didn't, you can still check into the net and make comments. We have a lively discussion, so don't be shy. Come on back at 10:30. This is KE5ICX, and I'm stable state.
Completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow Movie Net. Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the Afterglow Movie Net? Yes, I'm the same guy who was on just a few minutes ago. That's because we need additional net controls. We want you to do these nets. So consider it. Okay, let's see here. I've got 2 scripts, no waiting. Let's go ahead and take check-in. First off, this is the Afterglow Movie Net. Tonight we'll be talking about Metropolis, 1927 film. Let me tell you a little bit about it before you think about checking in. Maybe you remember this film, maybe you saw it. We do have a website, by the way, or actually we have a Facebook page called Afterglow Movie. That's it, Afterglow Movie, 2 words. Just go there, ask to be allowed in, and then you can find out what all the movies are. We have a list of movies. Most of these films, by the way, are available online for free. Not all, but most. Metropolis is certainly one of them. In fact, there were several versions of this film that were available. Just go there. You'll find the list updated every Sunday. So this week it's Metropolis. I'll tell you what it is for next week. So here's what they say about Metropolis. I'll just read a little bit about the description of this iconic movie. It's a 1927 German expressionist epic science fiction film drama directed by Fritz Lang, scripted by Thea von Arvo with a collaboration by Lang himself. Stars Goose Froelich, Brigham Helm, Albert Abel, Rudolf Klein-Rog, Eric Palmer. It's produced at Babelsberg Studios for Uterstone Film AG. Science film is regarded as a pioneering work of science fiction genre movies, being among the first full-length movies of the genre.
N5KYD.
N5KYD, go ahead.
N5KYD. The director's name is pronounced Long. It's by OFA Films, and there's some modulation on your carrier. N5KYD.
Foliage. Well, let's see here. Okay. By the way, it means that you have that same hum. So are you sure it's not coming from your radio? If it is, I will check it, I promise you. I did not hear it. Of course, I can't hear it, so I do appreciate the radio check. Let's see here. Right. Well, it's directed by Chris Lang. So, Gustav Froelich, I think is who you're talking about, is who started. Let's see. It says here, made in Germany during the Weimar period. Metropolis was set in futuristic urban dystopia and follows the attempts of Frieder, the wealthy son of the city's ruler, and Maria, a poor worker, to overcome the vast gulf separating classes of their city. Filming took place in 1925 at the cost of approximately 5 million Reichsmarks. The art direction draws influence from Bauhaus, Cubist, and Futurist design. It probably is true.
BB.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Yes, Tom, as other station reported, you've got a lot of hum tonight. It's been there every single time you've transmitted. It's annoying. We can hear you over it if you talk loudly, but it's very annoying. So if you have your radio near any kind of power transformer, move it. If you have your microphone, any kind of unusual configuration, move it. I've never heard this much hum on your signal before. And 5dB.
All right, thank you both. Let me try something here for a second. Hold on. All right, Bill, is that any better?
Considerably. N5KYD.
A little bit longer. I think it's completely gone.
All right, how does that sound now? Hopefully this is better. I did get a message from N5KYD, said it was better. Does this sound better now, Bill?
Yes, the hum is completely gone. Whatever you did, keep doing it in 5dB.
All right, very good. I know what it is. I got a ground loop issue, so we'll get that fixed hopefully tomorrow when I get some time. Okay, let's see. There are numerous attempts to restore the film since 1970. Giorgio Moroder released a truncated version with a soundtrack by rock artist Freddie Mercury, Loverboy, and Adam Ant in 1984. A new reconstruction of Metropolis was shown at the Berlin Film Festival in 2001, and the film was inscribed on UNESCO's Memory of the World Register in the same year. The first film thus distinguished. In 2008, a damaged print of Lang's original cut of the film was found at a museum in Argentina. There was, we posted on the webpage this link. It's quite fascinating, by the way. After a long restoration process that required additional materials provided by a print from New Zealand, the film was 95% restored and shown on large screens in Berlin and Frankfurt simultaneously on February 12, 2010. I'm going to leave it there. Normally I give a plot summary, but I thought the whole history of the film was so fascinating that I'd go ahead and do that instead. So I'll go ahead and take check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, I'll go ahead and take over RF. We alternate between RF and Echolink check-ins. I think RF's turn this week. RF, please come now with your call sign and your name. And did you see the movie? That's not a disqualifier. If you didn't see the movie, just tell me you didn't. You can still participate. So we'll take check-ins. Please come now.
Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo Foxtrot, go.
This is November 5, Bravo, Bravo, Bill and Irving. I haven't looked at the new link completely, but I've seen various snippets of the film and much of the new link you sent. So I've seen part of the film.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Tango Sierra Kilo, Berlin, Dallas. I did see the movie.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa. I just finished the movie.
Kilo Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn in Louisville, and I saw the movie. WB5OZL, Brendan DeSoto, and I did see the movie.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas, and Aaron and I did see the movie.
Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo, Bravo, David, Dallas, I see Afterglow. All right, that was a healthy check-in. I will do a second one here in just a moment. I got WA5RFG. Could you give me your name, and did you have a chance to see the movie?
WA5RFG, name is Rollin, R-O-L-I-N, and yes, I watched the movie last night.
All right, very good. Rowan, I got you down top of the list with a yes. I've also got N5BB Bill, yes. K5TSK Burrow, yes. N5HYP Tom, yes. KC50ZT Carolyn, yes. WB50ZL Brenda, yes. NT5TM Tony and Erwin, yes. And W5KBB David. David, did I get your call sign right? And I've got you down as yes as well. It's W5 Echo. All right, W5 Kilo Echo, David. You're a little light on sound, so I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm going to turn my audio up to 11 so I can hear you this time. Whiskey 5 Echo Bravo, Bravo. Thank you, David. W5 Echo Bravo, Bravo. I got you that time, and I got you down for a yes. Okay, let's jump over to Echolink. Anybody over there who would like to check in, and I know you do, please let me know if you saw the movie.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy and Sherman, and yes, I saw the movie.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, and I did see the movie.
This is Kilo Bravo 5 Romeo Hotel Echo, Brian, North Fort Worth. Yes, I did see the movie. Back to net, KB5RHE.
All right, ladies and germs, I want you to know this is the first time ever. Every single person has seen this movie that we all watched separately, but together. So, excellent check-in so far. So let's do this. Let's start at the top. Rowan, here's what you've got to do. You're the first guy. What did you think? Let's start with something not so simple or simple. What did you think of the plot? We'll start with that. We'll start with plot, and then we'll go to special effects, and then we'll go into what does it all mean. So what do you think of the plot, Rowan? A WA5RFG from KE5ICX.
I think the plot was timely even today. The parallels with what's going on in our politics here were remarkable, and I will be interested in hearing what other people think about the Christian aspects and the imagery that they portrayed. W5RFG.
All right, thank you, Rowan, and short and sweet, and that's fine. And yeah, imagery in movies, this group picks up pretty quickly. So let's go to the next guy, N5BB, Mr. Bill, one of the main drivers today, down and back again. What did you think of the plot?
N5BB. Well, this is, as you mentioned earlier, an impressionistic movie. And so, a little different from a movie with a plot that's designed to kind of be realistic. I consider this more of a impressionism rather than, realism. So, it's hard for me to really talk about the plot in a normal fashion. I'll say I think it did its job for what the director intended. N5BB.
All right, very good. Thank you, Bill. KF5TSK, Burl, what'd you think of the plot?
This is KF5TSK. Well, one of the parallels I thought in the plot from the beginning was really reminded me of maybe a coal mine, workers going to work. I was really impressed with the number of characters in the whole movie. One of the things that bothered me a lot is that it was the subtitles were on a separate page, and I was constantly trying to put the subtitles with, what was going on. It seemed like to me that they could have done a better job with introducing the characters and giving us some better background of who or what they were. And that's all I'm going to say for now. KF5TSK back to net.
All right, thanks, Pearl. Good comment. N5HYP. Tom, you and the clan, what did you think of this film? The plot?
This is N5HYP. Actually, I saw the end part of the credit as I checked in. So, yeah, I did just see the movie. The plot was interesting, and we'll talk about some of the other aspects later on. It's hard when you're not used to silent movies, where you have to try to pick most of it out from the actions and motions.
many of which are way overdone to try to get the point. And the little titles. So there were a few points at the beginning where, I was a bit confused by the plot. And kind of at the end, I got a little bit confused because suddenly I never saw where the two Marias got switched. But it did, anyway, aside from that, I thought the story was really good. It was very interesting, and it does have some future parallels to it, like now. I also saw maybe some parallels in plot to the communist revolution in an interesting way. So, and really bad Bible, but we'll get to that later. This is N5H5P, back to net. Okay, thank you, Tom. Bad Bible. Well, we'll check on that later. KC5OZT, Miss Carolyn, what'd you think of the plot?
You know, not being used to watching a silent movie took a few minutes to get oriented just what was going on. But it was a very interesting story, and a lot of the crowd scenes. You weren't always sure exactly who was good or who was who. But I did like that at least it ended seemed to be happily as far as Maria and I think it was John. So I did like that little part. KC5OZT.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. And this is KE5ICX, net control for tonight's Afterglow Movie. Let's see, next up, WB5OZL, Miss Brenda. What'd you think of the plot? All right, we'll come back to her in a little bit. She's either tired or predisposed. Let's go to Tony, NT5TM. Tony, what did you and Aaron think about the plot on this film?
Some of the original, the Phantom of the Opera, Nosferatu. In my student film days, I wrote and produced a short silent movie. So that comes naturally to me. I really love the way they convey the plot by visual storytelling with acting and their whole body and very careful attention to detail in scenes. So that's all wonderful. It's a very big difference from modern Hollywood storytelling where you have to be told everything over and over again. Copious notes on that. I might come to that towards the end of the net. H.G. Wells called the plot the silliest thing imaginable. He hated how somehow technology makes manual labor worse, not better. And I used to kind of sympathize with that, but I've become less of a Grinch on that. The visual storytelling draws me in, and as Aaron pointed out, it is a fable. The plot here is a fable. I am not meant to pick it apart for having bad political economy. So the plot to me is largely an excuse for beautiful visual storytelling, but as Aaron points out, it is a fable, and we'll have lots more to say as the net goes on. NT5TM.
All right, thank you, Tony. Very interesting. Next up, David, W5 Echo Bravo Bravo. What did you think of the plot?
Well, honestly, I'm not exactly sure the details of the plot. There's so many visuals that, kind of intercede. It's hard to discern exactly what the plot was, having kind of just skipped through the movie a bit. So I'll defer to others to kind of comment more on the plot. EBB.
All right, absolutely no problem. I'm going to inject a brief comment here. Sometimes movies, the plots aren't always the most important part of the film. The film is sometimes the film itself and the visuals, and this is definitely a visual film. So I came up kind of short on the plot myself, but I'll defer. Next up, KF5 PDS, Miss Billy. What did you think of the plot?
Well, good evening, Tom. Yeah, well, I think it was a very meant to be like a simple plot, but told in a very non-simple way. It was told in a very complex way in order to bring in, as Tony mentioned, fable and symbolism, and letting your imagination work on it. And with a silent movie, yes, it does take some acclimation and something. I did not watch the dubbed version. I watched the 2008 remastered version that was on Netflix. So it had the original title cards, with the silent movie spoken cards, and so you kind of did have to fill in some things with your imagination, and it makes you think. And I always love movies that make me think. So. I thought it was told, the plot definitely served as I agree with what Bill N5BB said about the plot served to, the story was told the way the director intended, and therefore the plot served. So I think it was a very, the idea of bringing, workers and the brains of the operation together, and it was, pretty, simple idea, but told in such a complex way that it allowed for introduction of so many more nuances, such as the biblical references and the fable, with the head, hands, and heart, and all of that. So that to me is my impressions of the plot. It was a simple idea told in a complex way to involve other aspects of storytelling. So I'll leave other comments about other parts of it for our next question round. So this is KF5PDS, back to Matt.
Thank you, Billy. And as always, you always bring very thoughtful comments in. KG5B said, WJ, what'd you think of the plot?
KG5BCW. What to say? I don't know if it's just one of those things where I don't want to overthink it, or if it's overthinking just makes it just something. I think I agree with others that have said that maybe, well, it's an interesting plot. It's kind of tedious. The first time I ever tried to watch this film, I watched an hour of it, and I was just kind of bored with it. I will say that the second half actually makes it more interesting, and certainly I think it redeems itself in that regard. But I had the same trouble this time, although I almost have to wonder about the way this is supposed to be consumed. In terms of like, well, I had to take a break. I had to take a couple breaks to watch this film. I noticed literally in the film, the version I saw, there's 3 acts. There's literally 3 acts. I mean, they label them for you. So I do wonder if, like, you know, with Gone with the Wind, where they had an intermission or whatnot, I'm wondering what they had to do with German audiences, because a lot of music that doesn't exactly relate to what you're watching, and well, it's just a little bit tedious. But that might just be the media, the medium working on me. I honestly don't have much else to say other than that. But I do like this film, KG5BGW.
All right, thank you, Jay. Let's see. Next up, KB5RHE, Brian. Your comments on the plot.
Hey, Tom, and everybody on the net. This is KB5RHE. Brian up in North Fort Worth, and yeah, it wasn't very fast. It was pretty slow and everything, and it was a very drawn-out way to tell a story. It is a silent movie, I guess, but I enjoy ballet, and in ballet, the dancing tells a story. So I kind of tied that into the movie. It helped me watch it. Oh, I wanted to mention, too, I'm not sure which version I watched. It was a little under 2 hours. I guess there's a couple versions out there, but mine was a little under 2 hours. But, yeah, it was, man. And you know what it reminded me of was Blade Runner, which I love. In that, the plot was, like an underworld for, where not slaves or, some type of underworld for some. And I guess in this movie it was about technology driving the people into the underworld. So, yeah, I guess that was the plot for me from what I understand. And with that, I'll send it back to Net Control. This is Kilo Bravo 5, Romeo Hotel Echo.
All right, Brian. And this is KE5ICX, net control this evening for tonight's Afterglow Movie Net. Okay, I have a tendency to agree with some of the comments here, particularly, let's see, David mentioned it, W5EVB. He had a problem following this movie. I did too, as far as the plot was concerned. It was overly complex for what it was trying to tell. I think there were some comments from Tom about that as well, involving, a bad Bible and that. I think the names itself have something to say about that. The names of the characters. I think that the style by which this was produced, though, and how the actors emoted in certain ways is to be expected. I think silent films are well known to do that. They exaggerate behavior because there is no sound, and you got to keep the audience interested. It's very similar to like with television back in the 60s, as I remember it, on a very small screen. You'll see overacting there because in that case the screen is so small that people couldn't really discern subtle movement. So in this case, I think that when you see that on screen as a silent film, you're trying to give emotions out in a way that's over the top so that everyone in the audience gets it. Otherwise, you'll have people leaving the theater going, I don't understand. What is their motivation? Well, when you see it on a big screen and they're appearing to be screaming at the top of their lungs, you discover that, hey, wait, that makes a lot of sense. So I will give that to the film. as any silent film will do. It does mention on the wiki that there were many rewrites, and anytime you have a bunch of rewrites on a story, you can expect it to get somewhat convoluted and becoming either overly detailed or underly coherent. And maybe those two things go together. I don't know. I think that's probably what happened here. I've reread the plot a little bit here, trying to understand. I still don't get it. So I'm one of those dumb people. And I'll agree with some of the folks who said that it doesn't make as much sense as it might. So I'll defer there. Let me see. I'm trying to talk to Brenda over on back channel. I think she's had it for the evening. But let me see. Miss Brenda, WB50ZL, are you there? Please come back. We're talking about plot. All right, I think she did what I did one evening and fell asleep. She had a very long day. We went all the way down to Johnson Space Center and then back. We took a tour. We walked everywhere. I think she's a little tired. So we'll go back to the top of the list. I think I said we'll talk about the visuals. We'll go ahead and say, let's talk about the visuals with the film. Things that you thought were interesting. If you still want to plot, just slide that in there in the conversation, because I could really use some pointers on plot. But we will talk about the technical aspects, the visual aspects of the film. This is the really juicy part. Rowan, WA5RFG, you're at the top. Tell us what you think.
WA5RFG, I think they paid a big fee to Tesla to do the special effects. One of his generators to do all that sparking, but considering the time that was done, I think their special effects were excellent for what technology they had back then. The mats that they used and all were quite exceptional. At some places you wondered where they had their sets and trying to figure out, is that really a set or is that just a mat, if people understand that terminology. But I enjoyed that part of it. It was a little bit hard to follow at times, I think, but again, this is a 90-year-old film, so you have to give them a little slack there. WA5RFG.
All right, thank you, Rowan. I agree with you. N5BB, Bill, special effects, imagery, what did you think?
N5BB. Well, arguably, this was the most expensive movie that's ever been filmed. Believe it or not, in current dollars. Huge number of people were involved, extras, you name it. It took a long time, nearly bankrupt the production company, et cetera, et cetera. They use mirrors like 45-degree mirrors to overlay characters onto miniature scenes. It was really pretty amazing. They put images that look like a television in there. I think the special effects and the production in general was amazing for the time, for the quality of the cameras and the equipment. It's really amazing that they could do what they did there. I want to make one more comment about the plot, or a couple more comments. Earlier I kind of demurred saying it was impressionistic, and I think the actual events in the plot weren't very important, but it was the background concepts that are kind of beneath the scenes that that may be missed. I think everybody needs to remember this is done between World War I and World War II, right at the start of the rise of Hitler in Germany. This film was a German film. Some of the words which don't mean anything in English were kind of interesting in German. So the mediator's name in German, the mediator, it was Mittler, which rhymes with Hitler. So you need to remember this, and Hitler was becoming a well-known figure at that time. He kind of had a messianic view of himself, and his followers did. So I think we need to remember what was going on there. The interesting thing, although Fritz Lang was Jewish, his wife, that really did most of the writing of it, was not, and was kind of a supporter of Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. So this was kind of a weird justification there of him filming it, but she writing this story. There's some other things. Again, many people who have, thought about this film think it's mostly a fascist kind of thing. The other thing is that the Rotwang, that name, Rot is red, which of course was associated with communists. So it's thought that, that may have kind of slid in there as something. And if these German term names and things were said in English translated, you might kind of get a different idea about the whole plot and what's going on there. There was a lot of interest in fascist Mussolini and Hitler at trying to mediate or merge the people in control and the large masses. So it was a combination of the strong messianic person at the top with the masses kind of merged together. So I think you kind of have to think about this film in terms of when it was written, the great upheavals going on, the extreme economic situations in Germany, where there were a lot of people that were completely broke and everything, and what was happening. So anyway, into my thoughts there. Inside BB.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your follow-up. That's very interesting. KF5TSK, Burl, what did you think of the special effects, the imagery, and if you got anything you want to add on plot, by all means, go ahead and do so. KF5TSK from KE5ICX.
This is KF5TSK. I thought the special effects were very good. I didn't see anything that, looked, I guess, amateurish or toyish. They spent the money on the movie. One of the things that I thought I had a problem with was some of the gestures. I didn't know if they were, English or German, but it just didn't seem to translate to me as to what it really meant. Also, I noticed that the workers were, they had no idea what the machines, did and what it meant to them. Another thing about the workers was never said how the workers were oppressed, whether they, I guess, worked long hours, had poor housing, their food wasn't good. That was just my general comments on it. KF5TSK back to net.
All right. Thank you, Pearl. Let's see. Next up on the list is N5HYP. Tom, I know you have a follow-up on plot. I think you do. At any rate, also, what did you think of the special effects and the imagery? N5HYP from KE5ICX.
KE5ICX in the net. This is N5HYP. The imagery is stunning for 1927. I mean, very forward-looking, some good special effects, some good lighting effects. I mean, Tony, as a film student, should really appreciate some of the stuff that they did. Some of the superimposed camera images, you know, the probably hand painting of the lightning type, or the superimposition of the lightning type flashes. Some of the things that were supposed to look kind of, I guess, give you the impression of like a ray gun or something like that. Some lighting effects I thought were just very good. Just good use of lighting to create mood and to create a look. Again, from the plot standpoint, I think, you know, it's the story drug, but just a lot of that has to do with the way the medium is handled, meaning silent and in essence mime. Aside from that, yeah, visually it looked gorgeous for the time, and I think it did set some standards for later on future science fiction movies that didn't look at all as well as this one did. So back to net, this KE5ICX N5HYP.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. And good comments. KC50ZT, Miss Carolyn, your thoughts on imagery, special effects?
I agree. The special effects were pretty good, and especially the, you know, the lighting of the tunnels, you know, and you know, it seemed like, you know, everybody was getting out of there in time. You know what I mean? It didn't, as far as I see, except that first scene, I didn't see anybody really, the crowd get killed. And I was struck by the music. I mean, 2 hours of non-stop music, but it was done sort of in a German way too. It's called leitmotiv. Certain themes associated with certain acts. I heard Valkyrie theme from Wagner. All through it, and DSC in certain parts, and I can't even name them all, but mixed in with what was written for the movie, and it was, and like I say, that's a feature of German opera to use certain for certain characters or. But anyway, that struck me, you know, but oh yeah, the effects, I mean, that was a good job on that. KH50ZT.
All right, thank you, Miss Carolyn. And I will digress just for a minute and make a comment. I agree with you. You watched the same version. I think it was the hot link I sent out. I enjoyed the music immensely. It really added to the film. Certainly silent films need that. And you know me, I love film music anyway, and in this case, I don't know what the original music was, but whoever developed this for the movie, I thought it was excellent. So, next up, I've checked the back channel. She's back. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda. You get a twofer. You can talk about the plot, if you like. If you got any comments there about what you thought. and also special effects and imagery in this film. So tell us your thoughts.
Oh, this is W5FC. I just thought the special effects were stunning. This is a masterpiece. I don't know what they used to create all those big machines. But obviously they weren't big pieces of metal. But you know, it just captures such an image of dehumanized humans and cruelty. I mean, it was just visceral. I mean, it was just, to me, the movie was gut-punching. You think about the human condition, and we've had so many movies in our lifetimes that have tried to show humans in a degraded place, and this is probably one of the best examples that I've ever seen. Sorry, probably pretty tired after traveling all day, so my brain is kind of fried. The plot was good. I don't have anything particular to say about it, to add to it, so I'll stop there. WB5OZL.
All right, I understand. I'm in there with you on that, but yep, stunning is, I think, an understatement for this movie and its visuals. Tony, NT5TM, what did you think of the visuals and special effects? Got anything you want to add to plot? Please go ahead. From KE5ICX.
Hey, Tom, it's great to hear everybody's comments. I'd first like to react to one of Carolyn's. The music really, the version I have, I'm embarrassed to admit I haven't seen the 2010 version of this movie yet. We have the 2000 restoration on DVD here with the 1927 premiere score, which is probably, I think, Tom, that's what was in your link. And the composer was very careful to use the score to tie different things with those motifs together. Aaron pointed out to me, which I'd not noticed before, that the theme we hear when we first get a big view of the city of Metropolis is the same one when we see in the story within a story of the priest's view. Makers. It's clear that Maria is bringing that connection to the minds of the workers as well. So it's overall, this is the silent movie James Cameron would have made. Not only did it cost a fortune, over $200 million in constant dollars, as N5BV pointed out, but the attention to detail is just phenomenal. The top quality special effects that compare favorably to things like that Buck Rogers movie we were talking about last week, and just the visual. Aaron pointed out to me that they're careful with Maria's height. The false Maria is always preaching to the workers or inciting riots among the upper class from up high. She's above them on another plane. The real Maria, when she's telling the truth to the workers, you know, again in the eyes of the filmmakers, is on their level or maybe very slightly above. The workers, when they're in crowds, their dark uniforms make their faces stand out. A lot of really neat information in composited shots, just relatively straightforward visual effects that you could do in black and white film, because in a negative, black is clear, so you can stack film together to print it. We see the animalistic faces of the upper class as false Maria's dancing is turning them into animals. We see neat dissolves as the M machine in the opening part of the movie turns into the pagan temple where they're throwing the slaves into the fire for Moloch. They really use that compositing to get a lot of information
out in one, to tell complex ideas visually in the story. So the effects are just enormously supportive. Even careful little things like, workers coming off their shift do a halt step funeral march because they're so tired, and workers going to their shift walk at a slow but steady pace. The visuals are just, it's what sells the movie, because I've had to watch this movie a lot before I've gotten used to the plot, so I can't get into an argument with the people who find the plot difficult or confusing or simplistic or annoying. Yeah, what makes this a masterpiece is its use of, from the simplest visual effects like the dark clothes of the workers contrasting with their light faces, or how high is Maria standing, to the most complicated ones with the dissolves and the composites and the Schuftan process with the mirrors hidden in the model so that there appear to be moving people inside tiny miniature sets. The visuals really, really support the story excellently. NT5TM, I could gush on this all night.
All right, thank you, Tony. You sound like you might have liked the film. Okay, let's see. Next up, W5EBB. David, tell us, what do you think about the special effects and imagery in the film?
Well, the special effects were really, really good. And to criticize the plot, well, it looks like he copied those, the manner of visual storytelling that is organically for it. Visuals are, I don't know, they look very familiar. I guess, many films subsequently that, we've all seen have copied from this as kind of the prototype. And certain scenes, when Maria, for example, is first shown and she's seated and then she's, you've got the triangles in the background and she stands up from a chair. I mean, certain scenes just kind of grab you, and you just look at every pixel to kind of see what all is this conveying. It's very, I don't know what the word is, it just brings about a certain consciousness, I guess, when you see things that strong. W5.
Yeah, visual cues. Very good. Next up, Cat5 PBS. Miss Billy, I know you've got comments on this one. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Yeah, this film to me is so visually stunning. I love all the. First of all, let me just start with simple things. The makeup in silent films has always fascinated me because they're telling the story with their bodies and their faces, and obviously they're speaking, but we just see cards, depicting what they say. And one thing that I would like to watch a dubbed version of this to see if it fills any more of the dialogue, because there are several scenes where the actors are talking and then they just show a simple card about just like what do you say, and they've said more than what the card is showing, and I'd really like to know what all they're saying. But they're telling the story with their bodies and their facial expressions, and obviously the actors are very adept at creating effect with their faces because they can change their expressions either subtly or dramatically and very quickly, and their makeup just helps to accentuate that. Maria's gaze is just hypnotizing and captivating and haunting, and it's very dramatic use of makeup. In the creation of the Maschinenmensch, the robot that was built by Rotwang, the inventor, says they happened onto a chance, sample of what they called plastic wood, which was a pliable substance used as wood filler to create the robot, and it looks like metal. You never would know that it was created out of what it was created out of. And that's some genius use of effect there, is it looks metal, but it wasn't created from metal. So, and they did a cast of the actress's body in order to have a fit, although they say it was very uncomfortable and rigid, and that the actress actually sustained some cuts and bruises while she was in the outfit for the robot. But I just found the robot just so cool, and that was just like perfect minimalist Bauhaus design, this form and function coming together into this beautiful work of art that is a robot. And I just have always loved the robot visual. And so let's see, what else was I going to comment on? One thing, the imagery that was created by the club, Yoshiwara, the name Yoshiwara, that was actually a red light district in the city of Edo, which is now where modern Tokyo is. So it was a very appropriate name because the club was very hedonistic and, had the lady performing, and she was dressed up like the biblical Lady of Babylon. They made reference to that. And I found the effects with the cameras extremely effective, especially when they were showing some of the faces, and the men were captivated by this dancing woman, and they were just getting all worked up, and they would have some weird like fisheye lenses to distort the faces. And when they showed the composites of all the eyes, just these ogling eyes, it was so effectively done. It was creepy. It was just downright creepy, and it was wonderfully done and really brought home the feeling of the scene in a very aptly named club. And as Tony mentioned, the shift-in process was really something else. And let me see, I had some details here on the process. It was popularized by the German cinematographer Eugen Schifftan while he was making Metropolis, but it was actually used later in a Alfred Hitchcock film called Blackmail in 1929, and in The 39 Steps, which was made in 1935. So I think that would be really interesting to see how it was used in those films. He placed a plate of glass at a 45-degree angle between the camera and the miniature buildings, and then used the camera's viewfinder to trace an outline of the area into which the actors would later be inserted onto the glass. And then the outline was transferred onto a mirror, and all the reflective surface that fell outside the outline was removed, leaving transparent glass. And when the mirror was placed in the same position as the original plate, the reflective part blocked a portion of the miniature building behind it and also reflected the stage behind the camera. And then the actors were placed several meters away from the mirror, so when they were reflected in the mirror, they would appear at the right size. I mean, that is just, genius use of science to create a visual effect that now we use, like matting and green screening and things like chroma key, and those types of technologies have supplanted this. But it's amazing what you can achieve with some, basic, understanding of reflection and scale and camera work, cinematography, to achieve this special effect. So for the time, that was an incredible special effect. I think that's really remarkable. And then, of course, the artwork showing the city, they couldn't show, like we can do it with CGI now, but they showed it with these beautiful architecturally perfect drawings, which I think were probably made by Bauhaus architectural artists, because Bauhaus was founded in Weimar in the 1920s. Right at this time that this movie was made, Bauhaus was having its heyday, and then it was closed in the early 30s. By Nazi pressure. The leaders of the Bauhaus movement, they closed their own schools, but it was because of Nazi pressure, because they viewed it as like communist intellectualism that was kind of getting the way it was being portrayed by the Nazis, it wasn't, but that's the way the Nazis were kind of portraying it, and so they pressured them to close, which was a shame. But all those wonderful artworks depicting all the minimalist, futuristic design was just incredible. And if you go to like our state fair or fairgrounds, you can see that some of that same Art Deco Bauhaus design in those buildings. And so when I watched this film, there were scenes where they had some designs that to me reminded me of those Art Deco buildings down at our fairgrounds. So anyway, those are my comments. I'll return it to you. This is KF5 PDS, back to net.
All right, thank you, Miss Billy, and excellent comments as always. And William, KG5BLO, I've got you over on chat. I'll have you up here in a couple of other folks are in front of you, but then we'll go ahead and take you. So next up, KG5BZWJ. What'd you think of the visuals and the imagery in this film? Go ahead.
KG5BZW here. Yeah, the, so many people have already said stuff that just needs to be said, and I don't know that it needs to be repeated, but there's so much, camera work and all that. Just it's fascinating, really. See, I was kind of thinking taking off a different direction. I like some of the design of just the machine itself, the actual literal, I guess you would call it, maybe in the film, how the English translation has it. It looks like it's just a cylinder engine that has a person at each cylinder, or I don't know. Obviously it's a machine of some sort. We don't exactly know its internals, but I'm kind of just fascinated by some of those designs, including the very simple but very it's crazy, but it gets the point across. I'm going to call it the vector machine that Sun Federer took over from the worker. It's such a zany design, but it shows. It actually gets the point across about how the machines are controlling the people instead of the people controlling the machines. It's really good visual there. And second thing, I love. From the end scene where Rotwang chases Maria to where, I don't know, there's just so many cool scenes that I'm really impressed with how they did. But I can't really say much more than that. Just as it's just really cool for that age. I also liked how not exactly a special effect, but it's more kind of just director detail in general, I guess. I loved how the robots. I'm kind of curious how the concept of robots being cooled and calculated. We have a Wizard of Oz. early, late 19th, early 20th century book, the robot doesn't have a heart. Well, in this film, we have the robot. Well, she might not have a heart, but she is. I mean, the emotions are extreme, or maybe it's not emotion, but regular Maria, the normal, true, good Maria, is soft, kind-hearted. She doesn't, except for when she's being chased and whatnot. There's not that much emotion, but for Robot Maria, goodness, she's all over the place. That's the first time I think of. Well, maybe not the first time I've seen a robot depicted that way, but I think I'm kind of fascinated that in this early cinema, that's how this the robot Maria was displayed. And that being said, there's more to say, obviously, but I think there's a lot of people have already said, and those are my 2 cents, I guess. KG5BZW.
Okay, very good, Jay. Thanks. And yeah, I thought some of the renderings of the robot stuff and how it worked out, it was inspiring. Let's see, Brian, KB5RHE, what you think of the special effects and imagery from KE5ICX?
This is KB5RHE. I thought the special effects were good. The dissolves were really cool, and the superimposed images were awesome. There was a part where there's like a drawing in a book, and it was of the machine lady or whatever, like sitting on top of a dragon, and there was like a real drawing, and then in the next scene it was like her rising up from the thing, and I thought that was pretty cool because it was like a drawing that it looked like somebody had taken some time to do, sort of like a drawing in an old book or something. And then the fire on the screen was pretty cool. I bet that probably freaked people out back then, so it was pretty funny to think about that. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll send it back to net. KB5RHE.
That's fine, bro. Don't worry about it. Everything, people have comments, long, short, in-depth, visceral, everything. That's what this is all about. For anyone listening, because I'm going to take check-ins here in a little bit, we are talking about the 1927 film Metropolis, silent film, 2 hours long, depending more or less from the versions that we saw. Okay, next up I have, okay, we're down at the bottom of the list. I do have William. He checked in via Echolink over in the chat box. In the chat box, try and say that. KG5BLO, what did you think? We've already had a discussion about the plot, but if you got something you would like to say, please do so. And of course, we're talking about the juiciest part of the movie, the special effects and the imagery. So KG5BLO, go ahead with your comments from KE5ICX. I saw he disappeared from Echolink. He's a regular over here, so he may be having technical issues. So I'll keep an eye on him. So I'll go ahead and I'll make my comments, and then I'll go ahead and take additional check-ins. It's pretty easy to love this movie visually, and you can see the inspirations that came about later on for many films, and including a whole era. This film really did kick off the Art Deco sensibilities that came shortly thereafter. It has heavy influences into Cubism and Impressionistic art, and then the industrialized look, which was also very popular at the same time. So the art world was going crazy with all of this, and there were some very eloquent comments that Billy made about this as well. Just amazing, and her background probably a heck of a lot more deeper than mine on that, but I just found the whole thing just completely fascinating. And you can see even today, I mean, we just had a film, Blade Runner 2049, that came out, and of course it was influenced by Blade Runner, which was influenced by Metropolis and other films. But my goodness, the whole thing just visually is stunning. Everyone used that word. It is thought-provoking. It is big. It is very big. And, you know, you think about an audience watching this film. You know, they used to say that with King Kong, people fainted in the aisles, the original silent version of that film. This film transcends that in quality and quantity and capabilities. It's just amazing. It was years ahead of its time. It is contemporary in the way it handles things. It is timeless because the way the story works. Yes, there's overacting, but that's to be expected in a film like this. But overall, every scene is so well thought out, and that was brought up by Tony and Tom, and you know, everybody had a comment about that it was just amazing. I absolutely agree. It is a fascinating film. What I need to do is stop being stunned by the visuals and then buckle down and pay attention to the plot. I think that makes me an important part of it. I'm not a film student. I am just a standard guy watching a movie. But sometimes it's important to do that sort of thing. But you can see the way the whole societal part was influenced by it. All of our art, all of our architecture, all of our whole sensibilities at that time, which was very unique, probably originated a lot with this film, or at least it was focused inside of this film with everything that had come before it. So it was truly a remarkable piece for its time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for additional comments. Let me do this. Let me get additional check-ins. Anybody who would like to join us, this is going to be the final round this evening. But if you would like to join us, we'll put you on the list. Please come in. All right, I'm going to throw it open. This is normally where you can, anybody has any comments about anything in the film. We couldn't possibly cover everything. So I'll just take an initial round if you'd like. If you got additional comments on anything at all, follow-ups or something new that we didn't cover that you would like to talk about, or something you heard somebody else say, now is your time. So I'll take on this first round anybody who would like to go ahead and make comments. Just come with your call sign.
WA5RFG.
W5OZL.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike. Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo.
All right, very good. I'll call a second round here in a little bit. WA5RFG, Rowan, go ahead, your comments.
I'd like to open up a line of social commentary of the film. The rich that obviously had their private place and had nothing to worry about, and then the opposite extreme of the poor workers, and there didn't seem to be anything in between. And also there was the depictions that several have talked about of the oppression of the workers, how basically in that they were using a 10-hour, which would have been a 20-hour day instead of our 24, but you worked half your life tending the machines, and the commentary about the workers building Babel, and then the first tower of Babel, and then rebelling when they realized how oppressed they were and how they were being taken advantage of. So I'd like to see what people think about those aspects of the movie, WA5RFG.
Okay, duly noted. What I'll do is I'll just get through these initial round, and then I'll call for a second round on this. It's kind of difficult to have a legit round table. But I will do that. I will endeavor to do that on this next round. So social commentary about the story, biblical aspects, I think, were part of that. So we can discuss that. Let me get down to, and I've got an asterisk here, and I will make comment of that. Anybody who is currently checked in, if you've got comments, just let me know, and we'll get you on the list. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda, you have something to say. Go ahead.
WB5OZL. I'm hearing lots of effusiveness about this movie. I loved it. It was utterly fascinating, and it examines something so basic: class struggle and the conflict between humans and machines, which we're talking about all the time right now, about machines taking over and Siri spying on us and such as that. But not everybody liked this movie. H.G. Wells accused it of foolishness, cliche, platitude, and muddlement about mechanical progress and progress in general. But more significantly, Long himself didn't like the book and later expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with it, which I find kind of troubling because he put a lot of effort into it, and I think it's a very important statement. And he said he thought that it was silly and stupid. I think that's kind of sad, that somebody can create something so wonderful and then later not think it was any good. It's just baffling to me. Back to net, WB5OZL.
Well, I think sometimes it's hubris and jealousy, but, they still steal. I'm sure he stole from Metropolis without knowing it for Citizen King. Who's to say? Okay, don't forget, we're going to be talking about social commentary about the film in a bit. So if you got something now, good. If you got something to say, even better. We'll get through this thing. NG5TM, Tony, you had comments. Go ahead. This is KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. I wanted to sneak in a little bit of lightheartedness here. Erin did want me to pass on that Rotong is probably her favorite character because, of course, villains are always more fun than heroes. He is a little bit more complex. He's manipulating the other characters to get revenge for the wrong that was done him. So he's a more fun and more interesting character. The villains are usually the best. net participation for me is complete without mentioning birds. We don't see dogs or cats or ferrets or monkeys or mice in this movie, but in the Eternal Garden, where the children of the rich are playing, we do get to see a few birds. And it was really kind of funny for Aaron and I, because of course we're trying to identify them. We're always wondering, oh, what kind of bird is that? But we're also really struck by just the odd fact that usually water birds like that are wild. They're not pets. You can't get close to them. They get very unhappy and leave. So here were these, egrets and herons just standing there as actors and extras walked around them. So that was sort of odd and amusing for us. So no deep commentary there, but role-playing was fun. And heck, there was even a cormorant in that scene. And again, cormorants are not pets. They're not tame. We don't know what they did, if they were sedated or something, by how they got all those birds to stay there. Maybe they promised them a lot of fish. NT5TM.
All right, very good. I don't even know what to respond with on that one. Okay, that's fine. Next, David, W5EBB. You have comments. Go ahead, sir. And if you got anything on social commentary, by all means, throw it in there. Go ahead, David, from KE5ICX. Okay, it's getting late. We may have lost him. Okay, next round. If you're interested, you got any additional comments? Let's see. Rowan put out, you want to talk about social commentary, if anybody's got something they want to say about that, based on some of the tropes and overarching meanings, long-term story, impact, that sort of thing. Please come now. Any additional comments and or social commentary that's been thrown out, and the gauntlet has been thrown down by Rowan. If you got something you would like to say, please do so. Please come to your call sign.
It's BB.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike.
All right, we got David back. Let me do this. I'm going to put David up on the top because it was his turn and he missed out. David, you had additional comments. I'm going to start with you because you patiently waited. And then we'll go and acknowledge N5BB and NT5TM. So, David, go ahead.
All right. Well, just looking at the pristine nature of the movie as it's been restored, it honestly makes me wonder if this was not digitally tweaked, especially in a silent movie. And, we often have said that the lip movements didn't seem to match what they were saying. This movie in 90 years could have been re-edited into just about any message, any plot imaginable. The scenery and imagery being so generic and repeating, That's just one thing that comes to mind. And, I have to throw in my Star Wars analogy. When the robot is first shown, the music that's playing in the background is almost exactly the same in melody, in phrasing, as C-3PO in Star Wars in the desert scene. And he says things like, and this is sort of a social commentary as well, we seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life. And that's kind of the class structure that recurs in this movie, the ultra-rich and then the working class, and that's your lot in life. That's about it for now. W5EBB.
right, David, thanks. And there is something you say about that, and it has to do with, directors are influenced by other directors in other films, so it wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a little listing about that. N5BB, Mr. Bell, your comments.
Yes, this is N5BB, and I just confused myself. Something David said right there I wanted to comment on. I forgot to write down what I was going to say. Oh my. I'll think of it in just a moment. Something he said was extremely true. Man, I wish I wrote down his points because one of those just hit home completely. One comment is that the movie has an awful lot of people in it. So this has an effect on the viewer, okay? I think there's no other movies ever made that had as many real people in them as this movie. And in particular, the masses of people. And that's, I think, has a very strong visual impact and a sociological impact on things. Again, I'm going to go back to my earlier point about when the movie was made. I think we have to think about the fact this movie was not made now, and it was not made in 1900. It was made right between the Communist Revolution and during the rise of fascism from Mussolini and Hitler in Europe. This was the kind of right in that transition. And in fact, Fritz Lang ended up, Hitler wanted to make Fritz Lang the media propagandist kind of person in Germany, and Fritz Lang, being Jewish, rejected that and fled to the U.S. His wife, though, Lang's wife was pretty much, as I understand it, kind of pro-Nazi, pro-fascist. So, and she's the one that wrote the movie. So I kind of view this as her thoughts, and Fritz Lang was really not really involved with the plot of the movie and those ideas, but more in the visual effects, I think, and presenting it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. David said something about the fact that the movie could be edited to make nearly any to make any point or to prove anything. Well, guess what? When the movie was released in the U.S., they completely changed the plot. The dialogue was changed because it's easy to do that with silent film, to put different cards in there. The evil people are the workers, kind of like the communism, and the people in charge are the heroes, pretty much. So there's a U.S. version of this that was edited greatly. The director of the original movie, Fritz Lieber, would never he would never view the U.S. version because it was so distorted, the original story and his ideas. So again, I go back to think about when the movie was released, think about the big people in the movie, the dictators and everything, and then the great masses of people. Those were the things that were really big between Engels and Marx and Hitler, communism. All those things were running really strongly through society in 1927. Inside BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. Very good point. Okay, let's see next. NT5TM, Tony, you have comments. Go ahead.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Bill. I think it's good to think about that era of the moment, and what movements were going on back then rather than now. I think, as someone else has said, it is kind of timeless in that it does, drastic divisions in society, be the ideology or class, can be very dangerous. Aaron even mentioned that during the film, that when you have such big divisions, it's easy for something like a false Maria to exploit them. But there's a problem with this movie. It actually made me think of the Hunger Games with this, and a couple people have mentioned H.G. Wells, and they've kind of hit on this as well. And that is, movies like to make comments that are pretty easy for viewers to agree with, like, hey, oppression is bad. We don't want to be enslaved and chained to machines. I don't know of anyone who thinks that sounds good. But they often weaken their social commentary by depicting economies that don't work and can't work. In the Hunger Games, each district is forced to produce one product, like coal, I think was what the protagonist district came from, or produced. Okay, what district produces diodes? What district produces refrigerator magnets? Often there's just really awful impossibilities or inefficiencies. I think H.G. Wells made some complaint about this movie, like, the workers are producing products in these giant factories. Well, who buys or uses these products? Where does all the energy go? How does, so often they depict these economies that are just not workable, and that reduces their commentary to something that's often relatively simplistic, but which does have the advantage. Always easy to tell people what they want to hear, and I'm going to agree with the message that oppression is bad, and I don't want to be chained to a giant murderous machine. So movies do tend to oversimplify their social commentary, and that's a theme that's been running for at least just about a century here, because we can compare Metropolis to Hunger Games. NT5TM, I think I'm going to have to shut down for the night. I'll try to listen as long as I can, but I don't think I'll be transmitting again. Thank you, Tom, for staying up this late. This was a great movie. I loved hearing other people's thoughts, and I know Erin enjoyed all the things I've relayed to her. NT5TM.
All right, very good, Tony, and I agree. It's been a long day. I didn't have to drive for a change, but I'm beginning to feel lethargism show up. So, okay, I think we're pretty much done. Does anyone have any final comments? Please come now.
BB, remember, daylight saving time starts at 2 a.m. Before you go to sleep, set your clocks ahead 1 hour. Inside BB.
Anyone else?
Lethargy was the word your fatigued synapses were trying to construct.
Oh, thank you. I am really starting to lose it all this evening. All right, next week's movie, if I remember correctly, I found it. You'll love it, or you won't. You'll hate it. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Yes, it's available online for free from a legitimate site. It's Crackle. I'll put it out on the Facebook page. It's the third film in the Mad Max series. There's actually a fourth one now that came out, what was it, last year or the year before last. So this is the third one, the final one with Mel Gibson in it. So if you're interested, it's got some good music as well. Another dystopia future. There's a 747 in it. You'll love it. Next week, same bad time, same bad channel. And remember, as the amazing Chris Wells said, We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And with that, I'm going to say good night. 7-3, everybody. I had a great day filled with lots of activities. I am going to bed. Bye-bye and bye-bye. KE5ICX, clear.
You will never experience the present in FabBB clear. It's never too late to become that which you might have been. W5FC.